Hello everyone. A brand new year is upon us. Time for a little update video. As people have been asking, like, what is my plan for this year? What has been going on with the streams, with the new games, all that good stuff. And I figured, let's do a little update video. It's about well time. So of course, Happy New Year. Hope you've all been doing absolutely fantastic. Myself, I have been taking quite an extensive break from World of Warcraft. And instead, I have been streaming quite a few other kind of games. With most of them, the question often asked is like, "Hey Noble, are you gonna be telling the story of this game as well? Are you going to be covering the lore? Is this what videos are coming up?" And with most of them, the answer has just been, "I have no idea. I still want to cover all the lore that Warcraft has to offer, but since we've pretty much finished up like the story of Thrall." There are a couple of subjects that I still have in mind, like a Ronin or a Kresis. But in general, I kind of feel like, mission accomplished. I feel like if there's a story of Warcraft that you would like to know, it's available on the channel. 9.2 is somewhat around the corner. And excuse me if I stumble a little bit, I'm doing this from the top of my head. 9.2 is around the corner, and I've checked it out on the PTR, and it's... I can only speak from my point of view. For me, it's not amazing. I have no clue for who they're making this storyline. I have no clue who this is supposed to please. I really, really wonder where the heck the story of Warcraft is going to go after 9.2. With their whole jailer did it and the first ones created it all. I have no clue where they want to take this story of Warcraft. I really don't. But I am morbidly curious. I am really, really curious. Like it's kind of ever since 9.1, I've just been sitting back and I've realized like, okay, the train has left the station. There was potential for the Shadowlands expansion, but that has just been thrown out the window. And I've just been of the mindset of let's see where this train is going to go. And a lot of people have been like, it must really, really suck to have like a lore channel going on and at the same time have to deal with this kind of story. And while, yeah, it does suck that the story is not the quality that you're hoping it would be, at the same time, it's not the end of the world. I full-blown realize it's a video game. Nothing lasts forever, all that good stuff. And in the meantime, with the break, I've been able to try out other things. I've been able to stream a bit more. Like I said, other kind of games. And of course... Don't know if you heard about it, but if you have, you're no longer allowed to play it because they actually had to shut down the servers. We've been diving into Final Fantasy. Like a half year ago, people have really been moving over into Final Fantasy. And a lot of people have asked, like, Noble, are you going to come over as well? And at first, I was like, you know what? Not right now. And the reason for that was, well, two of them. One was I was never able to get into Final Fantasy to begin with. I was never able to get into those games. The other reason was another MMORPG to spend a whole bunch of time in. I didn't have that much free time at the moment. So you know what? I figured let me dive into the single player games first. Let me check out if I can actually get into a Final Fantasy game. So we checked out 10. And I'm so happy that we did, because I kind of had to rewire my brain, and I had to realize, like, okay, this is how Final Fantasy operates. And I had to appreciate and understand that it takes a while for things to get going. In the example of 10, it took me around 3 hours to actually get into the game. Meaning, characters that you learn, world building, getting into combat, tutorials, all that good stuff. But once it gets going... it gets really, really good. I have had so much fun with 10, and that's not even to say like the combat mechanics you could play around with, having boss fights that you tackle in a different manner than someone else. So 10 was phenomenal. Still didn't have that much free time though, and the 7 remake was recommended, so I tried out 7 remake, knowing that I had quite a bit of love for Kingdom Hearts. This was recommended, and sure enough, the remake was actually really, really great to pop into. Not the PC port. I've been told that the PC port was not well done. This was on the PlayStation 4. And combat fit like a glove. Difference with 10 being that 7 like immediately pulls you in. It's like, okay, we're gonna go on an adventure right now. But at the same time, it's also not quite finished. Like there's more chapters coming. But okay, with 7, had a fantastic good time. Then 15 was gifted to me by Ato, and Ato was like, go have fun with Final Fantasy 15. And that one didn't grab me. You know, it just, there was a lot of story that they kind of assumed that you already knew. There were some moments that I was like, I don't think this has been earned quite yet. Combat didn't grab me. And, at the end of the day, that's how it works. Some games will grab you, some games will be for you, and some games will not. So like, okay, you know what? It's about time. It's about time to try out the Final Fantasy 14. So downloaded the game, started playing the game. One of my first highlights has actually been uploaded to the channel. And as of yesterday, we have finished ARR, as they say, which is A Realm Reborn, which is like classic WoW. We finished that, and we've made our way into Heavensward, meaning that we've made our way into our first expansion. And as the expression goes, if you make it through ARR and you get into this part, you will be a walking advertisement. I didn't hate the start. Honestly, I did not. But I can very much... I've had people in the chat ask, like, Noble, I've tried to get into this game from WoW. It wasn't able to grab me. Am I doing something wrong? And it's... Like I said, you especially at the start, you need to be open for the idea of it's story first and it's gameplay second, right? And expect to punch things 3 times and go back and listen to a storyline for half an hour, and then punch 3 times and go listen to a story for half an hour. If that's not your cup of tea, if you can't get through that, and that's purely talk about the MSQ, by the way. That's not the entire game, of course, but talking about the main story quest. If that's not your cup of tea, then you're probably not going to have a grand old good time. But yeah, that's been my 14 adventure so far. So obviously, the question has become like, Noble, are you going to cover the lore of 14? And I still don't know yet. All I can tell you is that my answer was, first of all, I need to see if I'm actually into Final Fantasy 14. And I can safely say, like, the game has grabbed me. I'm into it. I'm having such a good time with it as well. Due to multiple reasons, but that's not what this video is about. But I'm also still very much at the start. I'm still very much a baby in the game, so I don't know what kind of story is ahead. I don't know what kind of videos I will be making, so that's a big old maybe. And what about World of Warcraft? We'll be covering that. I will be covering 9.2, but mainly for completion. Like I said, I checked out the PTR and I was like, it's a patch where the major selling point is that you can walk on water. Yeah, okay. We can walk on water. I've seen some of the data mine stuff. I'm like, okay. I won't talk with the spoilers right now. Then there is exploring Kalimdor. It's just one thing after the other. With exploring Kalimdor, the book was so badly received that they pulled it off the shelves. And I'm like, well, the initial reviews are not exactly great for this book. I don't really feel motivated to dive into it. So maybe when that comes back on the shelves with like a reworked version, maybe. And then the next expansion, which I've heard the suggestion due to items in the store that we might be looking at the Dragon Isles. And if you know me, then you know that like Dragon Sword and dragons, that is super my cup of tea. That has always been my thing. And yet the first thought that crossed my mind is, how are they going to mess it up? That was not the exact words, but I need to keep it clean for the YouTubes. And that's not a healthy relationship to have with video games. So when I realized, like, okay, that's my first negative thought when it comes to World of Warcraft. The expansion isn't even out yet, and my first thought goes to, how are they going to mess it up? That's not fair for anyone, right? Nobody's going to have a good time. And that's also kind of why I'm like, okay, I need to distance myself further from all of this. So I'll see. I'm not going to make any promises. I'll see when the expansion hits. What I can tell you is that for the first time in a really long time, my subscription is about to end. And for me, it's very much going to be like, if I feel like dipping into it, I will. If I feel like making a video about it, I will. And that will be, in general, that will be my mindset for this year. That will be my mindset when it comes to the channel. If I want to make highlight videos, I'm going to make highlight videos. If I want to cover WoW lore, I will cover WoW lore. If I want to talk Final Fantasy, I'll talk Final Fantasy. If I want to do Genshin Impact, I'll do Genshin Impact. If I want to do anything, insert here, I'm going to make a video about it and I'll have a good time. And hopefully people will enjoy that. And at the same time, if people have subscribed to this channel purely and only for Warcraft lore, and they're like, you know what, it's a little bit too diverse for me now, then yeah, I completely understand it. And I just want to say thank you very much for joining me so far. At the end of the day, this YouTube channel came about because I had a passion for something. And that passion has carried me forward for like 8 years now, which has been insane. And I hope to bring that passion forward into many, many years to come, in whatever shape or form that might take. And at the same time, I'm also focusing more time on the streaming over at Twitch, with a whole bunch of, hanging out with the chat, having a good time, all that good stuff. So yeah, if you feel so inclined, we have, of course, the Twitch channel, the Discord channel, the Instagram, the Twitter, the Facebook, all that good stuff. I'm also going to be focusing on my health again this year as, good start. As we say in Dutch, like goed beginnen, halve werk, right? So I already quit smoking after 20 years, so that's nice. Well, let's knock on wood. I've not smoked for a week now, so that's really, really great. For those unaware, I've actually been working out for like 2 years now, so we are just coming out of a bulk, and we're going to shred off 10 kilograms, and we're going to look absolutely sexy for the summer, so that's the second goal. I'm already back on the eating schedule. And next to that, beyond all this rambling, if you're going to take anything away from this video, just take away that I hope that you will have a fantastic, what year we're living in, 2022? I'm pretty sure we're living in 2022 right now. These years, they just fly by these days. I hope you'll have a fantastic year. And catch you on the Twitch, on the YouTube, on the Discord, on the Twitter. Love you, everybody. Bye-bye.